Cliff Richard vanished from the spotlight. Now we know why. For decades, Sir Cliff Richard dominated British music charts with an unmatched longevity that earned him the title Peter Pan of pop. With over 250 million records sold worldwide and a career spanning an astonishing 60-plus years, his place in music history seemed eternally secure. Then, without warning, one of music's most enduring stars seemed to vanish from public consciousness. It wasn't a gradual fade. It was like someone flipped a switch, revealed a former BBC producer who had worked with Richard on numerous television specials. One of the most recognizable voices in British music history suddenly went silent. No new albums, no tours announced, no television appearances. For someone who had been a constant presence in entertainment since the late 1950s, the absence was deafening. This disappearance wasn't just a brief hiatus or a well-earned retirement. It coincided with a series of events so devastating that insiders wondered if Cliff Richard, the eternally youthful performer who had weathered every musical trend from rock and roll to disco electronic pop, might never return to public life again. Today we're exploring the shocking truth behind Sir Cliff Richard's mysterious disappearance from the spotlight. A tale of betrayal, legal battles, and personal trauma that drove one of music's most enduring stars into seclusion. The real story involves not just personal struggles, but a systemic failure that nearly destroyed both his legendary career and his health. But first, let's explore the extraordinary position Cliff Richard occupied in music. History before his sudden disappearance, and why his absence created such a conspicuous void in the entertainment world. Sail away. The unmatched legacy that made his disappearance so shocking. To understand the magnitude of Cliff Richard's sudden vanishing act, one must appreciate the unprecedented position he held in music history. With a career that began in 1958 with his hit Move, It, often cited as Britain's first authentic rock and roll record, Richard had achieved something no other artist in British chart history could match. Hit records in 6 consecutive decades. Cliff wasn't just another aging pop star, explained a music historian who has documented British pop culture since the 1960s. He was a living institution. The only performer who had successfully navigated every musical era from pre-Beatles rock to the digital age. Even when his music wasn't trendy, his cultural relevance remained unquestioned. The statistics behind his career defy belief. Over 130 singles, albums, and EPs, reaching the UK top 20, making him the 3rd top-selling artist in UK singles chart history, behind only Elvis Presley and the Beatles. For generations of British music fans, Cliff Richard wasn't just a singer. He was a constant, as familiar and reliable as the monarchy itself. What made Cliff unique wasn't just his commercial success, but his cultural ubiquity, noted a longtime executive at EMI Records. Christmas television specials, royal variety performances, Wimbledon rain delays. Cliff was embedded in British cultural life beyond just his music. His sudden absence left a void in multiple entertainment contexts simultaneously. This cultural omnipresence made his disappearance all the more conspicuous. The artist who had released at least one album nearly every year since 1959 suddenly stopped producing new music. His traditional television appearances ceased. His regular touring schedule, which had continued uninterrupted even into his 70s, came to an abrupt halt. What could possibly drive such a resilient, consistent performer away from the public that had supported him for over 6 decades? The answer begins with a police raid that would shatter his sense of security and unleash a media nightmare beyond anything he had experienced in his long career. Crews that greeted him today. But he came to the High Court along with his friend Gloria Hunterford to describe the public humiliation he felt when the BBC broadcast a police raid on the raid that changed everything. On August 14, 2014, Cliff Richard's world imploded in a way that would have been unimaginable to the clean-living, deeply religious performer. While vacationing at his home in Portugal, he received word that his Berkshire residence was being raided by South Yorkshire police in connection with a historical sexual assault allegation dating back to 1985. What made this raid extraordinary and ultimately devastating? For Cliff wasn't just that it happened, but how it happened. explained a former Metropolitan Police detective familiar with the case. The BBC had been tipped off in advance. They had a helicopter hovering over Richard's home, broadcasting the raid live while police searched his residence. It was unprecedented media coverage for an investigation at this preliminary stage. This extraordinary breach of standard police procedure turned what should have been a confidential investigation into a global media spectacle. Before Richard had even been interviewed by police, let alone charged with any crime. His home was being shown on live television with commentators speculating about the allegations in real time. Imagine learning that your home is being raided not from the police, from friends, calling to tell you they're watching it happen live on television, said a longtime friend of the singer. Cliff described it as feeling like he was being hung out to dry before any proper investigation had even begun. The presumption of innocence, which is supposed to be the foundation of justice, was shattered in an instant. The immediate impact on Richard was severe. According to those close to him, he suffered physical symptoms of shock, including uncontrollable shaking, insomnia, and rapid weight loss. The performer, who had maintained remarkable health and energy into his 70s, suddenly appeared frail and diminished. It wasn't just the allegation itself, she knew was false, and would eventually be disproven, revealed a member of his management team. It was the public nature of it, the sense of betrayal by institutions he had trusted, and the immediate trial by media before he'd even had a chance to defend himself. For someone with Cliff's sense of personal honor, it was utterly devastating. This devastating public spectacle marked the beginning of an ordeal that would keep him away from public performance and recording for nearly 4 years, a period during which his physical and mental health would be severely tested by a system that seemed to have abandoned the principles of fair treatment he had trusted throughout his life. Well, I always eat the right food. I try to eat the right food for me, and I try to today. I went into the gym for 45 minutes a little bit, not to lose weight. I don't want to lose weight. I'm already slim. The health crisis the public never saw. While the public witnessed Cliff Richard's disappearance from the entertainment world, what remained hidden was the severe health crisis triggered by the investigation and media coverage. A physical and psychological collapse that those closest to him feared might prove fatal for the then 73-year-old performer. What people don't realize is that Cliff nearly died during this period, revealed a longtime member of his inner circle who witnessed his decline firsthand. His body literally began shutting down under the stress. He lost over to stone 28 pounds in a matter of weeks. He developed shingles, which can be life-threatening for someone in their 70s. His doctors were genuinely concerned that the stress could trigger a heart attack or stroke. The psychological impact was equally severe. According to friends, Richard experienced symptoms consistent with post-traumatic stress disorder, including intrusive thoughts, insomnia, and moments of disorientation. The performer, known for his unwavering positivity and religious faith, found himself in a dark place that contradicted everything about his public persona. He would wake up at 3 o'clock or 4 in the morning in cold sweats, said a close friend who spent time with him during this period. Sometimes he couldn't remember where he was. This was a man who had performed flawlessly on stages around the world for decades, who never forgot a lyric or missed a cue, suddenly struggling with basic daily functions. It was heartbreaking to witness. The investigation dragged on for almost 2 years without charges being filed, extending the period of uncertainty and preventing Richard from fully recovering his health. Even routine activities became challenging as he faced the prospect of public recognition and potential harassment. He essentially became a prisoner, first in his Portugal home, then later moving between secure locations, explained a security consultant who advised him during this period. Every public appearance carried the risk of someone shouting accusations or photographers, creating unflattering images that could feed the negative narrative. For someone who had always had a warm, open relationship with the public, this enforced isolation was particularly cruel. Medical professionals treating Richard during this time reportedly became so concerned about his deteriorating condition that they advised his management team to prepare for the worst. The combination of advanced age, severe stress, and physical symptoms created a potentially life-threatening situation that the public remained largely unaware of, as the legal process slowly moved forward. What's remarkable isn't that Cliff disappeared from public life during this ordeal, observed a physician with expertise in stress-related illness, though not directly involved in Richard's care. What's remarkable is that he survived it at all. The physiological impact of this kind of stress on a person in their 70s can be catastrophic. Many people in similar situations don't recover. This hid.